I sincerely request all the team members and everyone else who feels comfortable to turn on their cameras so that we can make this event as interactive as possible. So, good evening, everyone. Just give me a heads up if I am visible and audible.
Hello, Astha. You were not visible to us, but you are audible.
Just a second.
Objective Alpha, lost.
Overload activated! Get clear of the blast! Out grenade!
Am I visible and audible now? Am I visible?
You are audible but not visible to us.
Just give me a few seconds.
The enemy is more than halfway depleted. Keep guarding the sector. The enemy is more than halfway depleted. Keep guarding the sector.
Am I visible and audible now?
Yes, you are visible and audible.
Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. So we'll be starting now. So good evening, everyone present in the meet today. So yet another session, yet another collaboration. I hope both the parties have benefited a lot from these collaborations and all the eager learners as well. We look forward to many more such amazing sessions and collaborations. So today's session is focused on data analytics. Data everywhere as we listen
Effective Bravo
these
2.
days. and we are honored to have with us Pratistha Didi. She is an esteemed alumnus of Dibrugarh University. She is currently working at Amazon and has previously served her expertise in field as well. I hope with her extensive experience in the field, she will be enlightening us and giving us valuable insights into the world of data analytics. So let us extend a warm welcome to Pratistha Didi. So Didi, the floor is all yours now. You can get started with the session.
Hey, Astha and everyone. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Firstly, I want to apologize for the a bit dusky lighting. Uh, but yeah, we can get started here. Let me quickly share my screen. Yeah, I hope you all can see my screen now. All good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, again, hello everyone. We are here to talk about data analytics, how you can get into data analytics from tech or non tech background. It's open to everyone. Uh, let's first start with the overview that we're going to discuss on this today's session. So, firstly, I will going to give a brief introduction of myself. Asta has already given a very warming introduction of myself. We're going to cover what is data analytics and why data analytics as well. Then we are going to talk about the skills, how we can develop the skills, and we will
All of a
also going
critical
to
objective.
talk a bit about
Eliminate
resume
remaining
building,
enemy
interview
forces.
preparation, and there are a few bonus tips for you at the end. So let's get started. So first of all, hi everyone. Myself, Pratistha Nirala. I'm from Essentiality Assam. I did my bachelor's in mathematics from Gauhati University, and then I did my MCA Masters in Computer Applications from CCSA Dibrugarh University. Uh, Talking about my professional experience, I worked as a data analyst apprentice in Google for last 2 years, and very recently, last week only, I have joined Amazon as a full-time data analyst. Uh, I'm genuinely really thankful to the whole CCA Dibrugarh University faculty team for all the great learning opportunities. Uh, yes, definitely, I'm really, really grateful of them. Moving forward, let's start understanding. Uh, did I skip a slide? Okay. So, what is data analytics? I think I have skipped a slide here. Really sorry for that. What is data analytics? Data analytics is basically using data to gather insight and solve business problems for organization or for yourself as well. So we use data on a day-to-day basis, right? Be it in your assignments or be it in your any general school projects. We have data everywhere, and from data, those data itself, we are using those data to analyze and solve a lot of problems by ourselves, even sometimes very unconsciously or subconsciously, right? So when we talk about what is data analytics, we have to talk about why data analytics as well. So why data analytics? First of all, there is a very well, famous quote or phrase that is going viral nowadays, that 90% of the world's data was generated in the last 2 years. So, what does it mean? Basically, the data we have currently in this whole world, 90% of it was generated just in last 2 years, right? That's amazing because nowadays Everybody uses data. If you have used, I think we use Swiggy, Zomato kind of apps almost, like, uh, like very regularly. If not, then we use Spotify or any other Amazon Music or this kind of platforms to listen music, or any other product platforms. We see every often, very often, they keep us sending notifications like, hey, you have not been using our app in some time. Is there any problem? Or we have seen that you have frequently ordered this item. Do you want, like, similar kind of items related to that? And so on and so on. So, how those data, those insights are generated, all are using data analytics. So, that's why data analytics, because demand is everywhere, not just in uh, big MNCs, but starting from any startups. Let's say you're starting a business. I'm not talking about any big companies. Let's talk about your starting a business. Now, to understand how your business is going to run, you need data. You need the ongoing market performance. You need if there are any other competitors of your business, and if so, what kind of techs they are using, what kind of services they're using, and so on and so on. And based on that, you could analyze that, okay, if I use this particular product, or if I use this particular tool, then the chances of my business getting success is higher. So everywhere you see, there is data analytics. So that is what we talked about, like demand and the necessity as well of data analytics. Now, in data analytics, we have diverse career opportunities as well. So when I talk about career opportunities, data analyst, which we say like it's the very base foundation of it, but data analytics could be of any type. It could be of business analytics, it could be of data science, towards the data science part of it, it could be of, risk analyst, it could be of any kind. So how is it different? You're going to understand once you dive into it. Because when I talk about data analyst, it could be of I could be of analyzing data about anything, right? But when we talk about business analyst, I especially talk about analyzing a business, supporting a business towards its growth, and as well as some kind of marketing analytics also comes into picture. Maybe sales analytics, product analytics, a lot of branches are there. So definitely diverse career opportunities are there as a starter or as a newbie in the industry as well. So similarly, there is a diverse growth opportunity as well. If I start as a data analyst, there is it's like from a data analyst you can go to anything. If I start as a data analyst, not necessarily that I have to be a senior data analyst and then some, like, data analyst director, VP and CEO or such kind of things. There is none. You can choose your path yourself, right? So today I'm a data analyst. Tomorrow when I keep working on the analytics, I realize that okay, I have a very keen interest towards how the data is generated, how's the data is grabbed, and then what goes on behind it. Then I can choose towards data engineering part of it. Similarly, I'm working as a data analyst and I'm really interested to see how the data is being used in predictions, or how it is being used in generating analytics, like generating insights in the backend, like for a longer term, in short terms predictive only. For that I can go towards data science. And I love doing analytics. I love to see how the product is growing, what is the insight the product is giving, how our business doing. Then I can definitely go towards product analytics as well. So those are just a few that I am also very aware of. but I have seen people going towards a lot of variety of fields from data analytics. So data analyst is a very good foundation to start for any role in the industry. I've seen people converting from data analysts to software engineers as well, because everything in today's world is related to data. Okay. Uh, Sorry, I think if I haven't mentioned it earlier, please feel free to raise your hands and ask me questions if you have any. Even in the middle of the session, I will not mind. So when I'm discussing about any topic, anything, any particular issue, feel free to raise your hand and
Eliminate
ask me
remaining
questions.
enemy forces.
Uh, Moving to the next edge. So now let's talk about if you have the skills for data analyst. From my perspective, if you ask me, everybody has the skills, at least the foundational skills, as in behavioral skills like management skills or business acumen, problem solving skills, etc. Everybody has it. They just have to discover it. But do you have the technical skills as well? That's up to you, because technical skills for any role in the industry, it's your
Enemy is
choice.
more.
Okay, if you're willing to learn, you would be able to learn anything, right? So the domain, the idea of being an analyst, the idea of impacting a change should interest you. So my question is, do you have the skills? If not, then do you want to learn these skills? do does this skills interest you? Do the skills interest you? That's the real question. So for an analyst, primarily from my experience, SQL and very basic of Python, plus
Stop
Excel
grenade!
spreadsheets or any dashboarding tool is a minimum. Okay. So technical skills, I would mainly say SQL is very much important. Then Python, basics of Python such as like pandas, NumPy are important, because in
Enemy
today's
is
world
more
you
than
see
halfway depleted.
whatever
Keep guarding the
analyzing you
sector.
can do with Python, like in the by analyze I mean that generating data insights, that can be done using SQL as well. And SQL is also used to, you know, deal with large data sets and large databases. So SQL is very powerful by that means. So SQL, Python, Excel, and data visualization tool as such as like Power BI, Looker Studio, Tableau, etc. are important. Statistics, uh, I think as engineering students, uh, ex- like I was told that the audience would be engineering students. Most of the students would be engineering students or computer science students. So I think statistics background, everybody would have some bit of statistics background, and that should be good enough to start as a data analyst. On top of that, I think Excel and data visualization tools are very easy to adapt as well, because Excel from school itself we have seen the platform what it looks like, and data visualization tools are
We have taken
basically to present the data insights like in the forms of graphs and charts.
objective Delta
So
1 is under attack.
the main tech stack, if we talk about
50%
for
Allied
data
troop force
analytics,
left. We must pick up the pace.
that would be
Allied
mainly
troops launching an assault on
SQL
objective
and
Delta
Python.
2.
When I talk about Python, it is also not necessary that you have to go for core Python programming, like all deals and all kind of things. It's not necessary. Just basic of NumPy, pandas should be enough. Even Matplotlib and SNSE1, etc. are not that necessary, because for dashboarding or visualization, we often use like Excel or dashboarding tools itself, like Looker Studio and Power BI, etc. But again, as I started with, technical skills are not the only skills that are important for data analytics. Your communication skills, your analytical skills, your business acumen should also be very good. Okay. So, unlike any other tech roles, uh, for data analytics, your your ability to convey things, convey messages, convey insights, convey reports, presenting reports are very important. They should be clean actually. So in analytical thinking we talk about like problem solving, decision making, attention to detail, etc. So I think as a kid myself, or a lot of people, I see that they really enjoy problem solving, which we do not call problem solving, actually, you know decoding riddles and puzzles, etc. The Usually the people, as a kid, I really enjoyed solving questions like regional questions, or if, even someone from my cousins or my siblings are appearing for any competitive exams, specifically in Assam. I think any Assam government exams, they include a reasoning ability paper. And from my childhood all itself, I was really interested in that. Like, whenever I see reasoning ability papers, question papers, I instantly go there and then start solving it. And I think that was my sign that I really enjoying problem solving. So it could be you as well. Like, you need to figure out if that's something that really interests you. So that's analytical thinking or problem solving, you can say. Business acumen is basically understanding business, understanding a product. Business acumen comes whenever you're specifically focusing on particular domain or particular business type, particular product type. Let's say when I interviewed for Google, my business acumen was checked on based on like the team I will be working on. So in Google, I worked in trust and safety. So the questions that were directed towards me were kind of related to that particular domain. But not necessarily it would be entitled to that only. But when we talk about business acumen, you should have an idea of how the business runs. For example, you could be asked a question like, let's say, Google is launching a new phone, Pixel phone, and what would be your approach to advertising it? That could be a question where it is very open ended, and that's when your business acumen will portray. Like, the interviewer would be examining, evaluating your business acumen on basis of your answer, right? So business acumen is basically, you cannot, I do not think you can lie or you can fake business acumen, because you have to have it. If you're smart enough, if you're prepared enough, then definitely you will have enough resources around you to answer to that question. We'll go to the resources as well later. So I'm skipping to the next skill, which is communication skill. So when we talk about communication skill, this is communication skill is not just about speaking fluently in English. It's a very huge misconception that you are able to speak very fluently in English, then you mean okay, she has a, or they have a very good communication skill. No. When we talk about communication skill, we include verbal communication as well as non-verbal communication. When I talk about non-verbal communication skills, I am talking about, the gestures I'm showing. Like, whenever I'm answering a question, an interviewer asking me a question, I'm answering a question. It should not look like that, okay, I have memorized the question and then I'm just like repeating whatever I remember. No, it should it should come from your own. It should be very authentic. And how is that possible? With rigorous practice. So communication skill is nothing but how you are how you are See, I'm stuck. So how you're basically presenting yourself to the other person in front. That's communication skill. And verbal communication skill, yes, speaking in English is really necessary nowadays. Uh, have the basic English communication skills sorted, and then just practice on it. Regular practice, rigorous practice will make it easier. So, yeah, communication skill is also very important because often as a data analyst, you have to present whatever findings you have. You have to often showcase or sometimes, sugarcoat things that aren't going well in your business. That's all part of analytics. So, yeah, moving to the next slide. Yeah, so getting started with developing skills. Uh, so we have talked about skills, all of the skills, not all. These are like base skills. Now let's talk about how to get started with the skills, right? So again, the most important skills are, Python is there, SQL is there, dashboards are there, like, Excel is also used as a dashboarding dashboarding platform. Similarly, Power BI and Looker Studio, Tableau, etc. are there. Soft skill for soft skills, which is basically soft skills are basically business acumen, analytical thinking, communication, etc. So communication management skills, as in like time management, stakeholder management, these things are also important. But mostly soft skills you have to improve, not just at once. You cannot, just wake up one day and then your soft skills are started. No, it's not like that. There has to be rigorous practice, as I previously mentioned as well. But for other skills, as in like SQL, dashboards, and Python, if you are interested, you could easily start with SQL. When you feel like, okay, because SQL is a very vast syllabus, okay? When I talk about vast syllabus, it's not like there are a lot of things to learn. There are very limited things to learn in SQL, but it's so powerful. SQL is so powerful that with those limited things, you can do a lot of stuff. Like in Python, we have pandas, numpy, and inside that also we have different syntaxes for different kind of operations. In SQL, we have a standard syntax, and with that standard syntax, it's so powerful. We can do almost a lot of, like almost 90% of things that can be done using Python, numpy, and pandas. So SQL is very powerful. So firstly, start with learning, basic where, like select statement, where statement, having join cases, etc. And then when you feel like, okay, you are comfortable in it, then switch towards any other platform, such as like dashboarding. For dashboarding, let's start with, you started with Power BI. I think Power BI is available to use for free of cost publicly. So you could use Power BI, but I would still suggest go with Excel, because Excel is also very powerful. I'm not saying spreadsheets or Google Sheets here, because a lot of top companies do use spreadsheets, but on a slightly native level, Excel is used more widely. So that's why I'm saying Excel, but it's almost similar to spreadsheets. 95%, 99% it should be similar to spreadsheets. And they are very powerful. So start with SQL, go to Excel, and then when you feel like, okay, Excel also I have a good basic knowledge, then come back again in SQL and then challenge yourself in the skills or the statements you have learned so far. If you are able to challenge yourself and are able to give your best, then move towards the advanced sequel. Then, when you have the basic idea of the advanced SQL statements and functions, come back to Python, start with Python. Then, the best thing what you can do is, uh, since I think previously also I mentioned that in Python, pandas and numpy, whatever things you can do with pandas and numpy, you can do it with SQL as well. So, just take a question and firstly solve it in Python. Then try to solve the same question in SQL as well, right? But I would again suggest that you do not need to go deeper in Python. Just pick one language, SQL or Python, and then stick to it very hardly. Okay. Say you chose SQL, learn SQL from A to Z completely. Okay. Practice a lot. Lead code hacker and kind of platforms are there where you could learn, practice SQL for data analytics and be very prepared. And then on top of that, learn Python basics like, pandas and numpy. So that whenever you face an interview that someone is asking you, do you know Python? You just don't have to say that, no, I don't. Say that I am familiar with pandas numpy operations for data analytics. I know how to use and leverage pandas numpy with numpy, but I'm still learning. And if the role requires me to work in Python, then I am definitely willing to learn and give my best for it. Because there are very, so as far as I think in the past 6 months, when my program in Google was about to over, in the past 6 months, I appeared nearly more than 150, not 150, like I applied to nearly 100 applications. And out of 100 applications, I think I got interviews for 10 or 12 uh, roles. And out of those 10, 12 roles, sorry, out of those 10, 12 roles, I think around 8 to 9 interviews, I did not even have to face Python. The interviewer didn't even mention about Python because SQL is so powerful nowadays. Everybody uses SQL. In top MNCs like Google, Amazon, they they hardly use Python. If someone wants to go towards data engineering or data science, then Python comes into picture. But for an entry level role, they hardly focus on Python. They focus mainly on SQL. Even though if you are a batch who is actively looking for opportunities, jobs, they are active on LinkedIn or any other platforms, job searching platforms, then definitely you will see people sharing interview experiences. They will also say the same thing that SQL is a must for data analyst. So coming back, and while you are preparing for SQL, Python, Excel, etc., soft skill you have to do it on the background every day. How? So let's talk about communication skills only for now. When you're, did someone raise their hand? No? Okay. So let's talk about communication skills for now. So while you're preparing for SQL, Python, Excel, or whatever answers you have created, whatever questions, whatever challenges you have given to yourself, try narrating that. That solves your communication problem because when you are doing something in Excel. Like, let's say I created a chart. Now, try describing your chart to yourself. Just turn on your camera in your device, laptop, or like, op- even on your phone as well, and then explain yourself what you have done in the chart. Or even if you're writing a SQL query, or let's say Python code, turn on your camera and then explain your code to yourself. You are able to, that solves your communication skills, be it verbal or non-verbal, because you are able to see yourself means you are able to correct yourself as well. So you're seeing that, okay, why am I like sitting like this? When I'm talking like this, I'm not able to feel connected to myself. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm talking to a person. It feels like I'm just narrating something. Then change it. You feel that whenever you're speaking, you're not speaking clearly, or you're speaking too fast, you're speaking too slow. Everything you will be able to correct it, because you are talking in front of your camera. If necessary, not necessary, you should record it and then listen to yourself, or watch the video yourself. I know that at first you will definitely cringe, like, is this what I sound like? Is this what I look like? But that's how you can improve it. Because if you are able to cringe, that means after a few days when you will actually improve, you will able to say as well, okay, I'm improving. You will be able to see your improvement as well. So that solves your communication problem. Similarly, for time management, uh, and stakeholder management also is similar thing. Stakeholder management basically means how you are connecting to the audience or the stakeholders involved in the business, and how you are able to understand their problem, which includes listening skills as well. How you are able to understand the stakeholders, the people involved in your project, in your task, and then understanding from them that what's their requirements, necess- what's the requirement, what's their scope, their goal, etc. And then how you manage it, how you communicate with those people, with everyone involved, and how you deliver what's been done. So, given giving an example, stakeholder management could be of, like, let's say you are working on a project, and there is a stakeholder who is, let's say the project manager is one of your stakeholders. Then the project manager is asking you what's the update on the project, but you realize that the project should be delivered by, let's say, end of this week. But looking at the progress of the project, you know that you will not be able to deliver the project by end of this week. So now how will you deliver this message to the stakeholder? And how will you negotiate or narrate or understand the what are the important aspect of the project that could be delivered, or anything? So basically how you manage them. That's stakeholder management. So that also include a huge uh, that also include good communication skills, because you should be able to clearly communicate with them. And time management and a lot of stuff like project management, program management, a lot of terms are there, but everything is somehow related to communication skills and management, basic management, like how you're able to manage everything. Okay. Uh moving forward, I think if there are any question again, feel free to raise your hands. But again, like, I think I have not said this before. This what I say, this is a very basic structure of, you could call it roadmap or anything, but I gave an idea like how you can start on working on the analytics, but like developing the skills. But it's very personal, it's very personal, like it could very much differ to person, very much differ person to person. So let's say I'm really good at SQL already, so I do not need to go start with SQL. Let's if I'm already have basic understanding of SQL, I'll start with Python because I have a good grasp of SQL. Then I'll start with Python, and then I would do the step where I compare SQL codes, SQL queries with Python codes. Similarly, if I'm already good with Python, then I will start with SQL and try to write the same queries which I wrote in Python, like for the same problem. What? Sorry, I take a problem and then I write it in Python. I get the output, and I try to write the solution for the same problem in SQL as well. So on and so on. But like it really depends on person to person how they want to start. Moving on, let's talk about building the resume. So there are a lot of, if you visit, not if you generally search in the internet as well, you will find a lot of different tips from a lot of different people. Somebody saying this, somebody saying that. But let me tell you, for a beginner, for a early candidate in the industry, your resume always should be very concise, of one page, and well formatted, because nowadays everybody uses ATS. That is very true. Number of applications goes from 10,000 to lakhs sometimes. At least minimum 1000, sorry, at least minimum 500 to 1000 applications are usually received for one particular role on average, I'm saying. So on an average around 530 something, the number was like, that is also, I'm not very sure if it was accurate as well, but some media published that some 500 plus number of on an average resume are received for a single job on today's date. So you can see the competition, right? How difficult, how tough it is for everyone. So what we can do best in the resume. So first of all will be, always tailor your resume to the job. So whatever job. So let's talk from here, not specific to data analytics, but for any role as a beginner, as an entry level candidate, always tailor your resume to the job description. You're picking a job, you see that okay, this interests me, it has proper skill sets, it has the I have the skill sets that it mentions in the at least minimum qualification or minimum skill set criteria. Then I look at the job description. We often tend to skip it. Don't. We just look at the minimum qualification and then preferred qualification. If we have it, then good. If not, then like anyway we apply. G- Not a bad thing. But again, look at the job description as well. Look at the roles and responsibility mentioned in the resume, sorry, in the JD as well. Because that gives you an idea about what kind of questions you may face in the interview as well. Okay. So just think from an interviewer perspective here. Okay. Let's say I run a business, I am putting out a job in the market. I need a candidate for this particular responsibilities. Okay. Then in the interview as well, I will ask question according to that, right? Because let's say I want a data analyst for my business. Let's say I run a shop and I need a data analyst for my shop to see like how my business is doing and like how I can improve it, etc. So I would, in interview, I would ask questions like, okay, so do you have experience of uh, like working on a shop before? Or I would also ask questions like, let's say I have this amount of sales this month, and previous year I had this amount of sales. Then what do you think? You know, what are the chances that by next year I would reach this much? Kind of question. So those all question comes from sales background, like related to sales or that particular shop business. I would not ask the person like, hey, what do you think? How many flights will be taking off from Guwahati University? Because that is not related to my business at all, right? Did I say Guwahati University? Guwahati Airport, I meant. Okay. So, so that's why JD, the job description, where the roles and responsibilities mentioned, as well as where the, what they're looking for kind of uh, description mentioned, it is very important. But while applying, you may apply it with your resume, with like, skills mentioned, etc. But at least if you get a call from the recruiter asking to sit for an interview, before the interview, make sure to read the JD very clearly. Make sure to read the uh, roles and responsibilities very clearly. So tailoring your resume to the job is very important. Second thing would be, always include a very strong summary in your resume. Because so even if you are, I assume like everyone in this session are from college, university. So everybody is studying. Most probably, most of the people would not have any prior experience, right? So a summary of your profile, as in like, this is what you are expert in, and I aspire to become this. As a beginner, as a newcomer, as a person with no professional work experience, should always mention something as I aspire to become this. Like, what's your goal? What do you want to become? That should always be in the summary. Start with that so that whenever the recruiter looks at the profile, they would be able to understand, okay, they have this skills which we are looking for, and they aspire to be the uh, same they aspire to be in the same field as well, which we have opened the role for, right? So always, let's say the job title says that we are hiring for a business analyst, then you can mention it, and that I aspire to become a business analyst. You can mention data analyst as well, no harm in that. But what happens if you mention business analyst is, while screening the resume through ATS, it will give you an additional benefit that your resume includes the term business analyst. Okay. But again, not just that, ATS are not that simple that it will only just track words, only terms. It would be like, summarization of your resume as well. Sorry, the ATS could be able to summarize your resume as well. So whenever you have written that I aspire to become a business analyst, the ATS would summarize it as like, okay, the person wants to become a business analyst. That's always an additional benefit, and not just in analytical fields or anything related to that. Even if you're aspiring to become a software engineer, software development engineer, anything related to that, or any other roles, let's you want to become a brand manager, you want to become a fashion stylist, anything, make sure your resume aligns perfectly with the JD. In the let's say you have done in project, right? In the project, uh, in the job description, in the qualifications required, it mentions metric analysis, let's say. Okay. Then the project you have written that I have performed data analysis on this, instead of data analysis, right? I have performed metric analysis, this. That would give you an additional benefit. So, tailoring your resume to the job description, micro tailoring, I would say, it won't be a bad thing. Tailor it very accordingly to the job description, because, and it's not something that, okay, this is something new and nobody else would be doing. No, this is bare minimum in today's industry. So you may be thinking that, okay, this is something extra I'm doing, my resume should definitely be selected. No, because in today's world, the people around me, I see every other person is doing the same thing. So this is bare minimum while searching for a job. In today's world, in corporate industry, looking for a job is not a joke. It's really hard. So this kind of efforts are bare minimum, and you have to be ready to do it. Not just for, I'm not speaking just from a, like, just for in analytical industry. For any industry, this is the bare minimum. You have to do it. So starting with strong summary is also very important, because ATS would definitely analyze it. Keeping it concise and well formatted, very important. Your resume should always be of one page. As a new to the industry, with very like, where with minimum professional experience, one page is strictly enough. And formation should be very neat, and with not without any, how to put it, without any embellishments. So don't try to decorate it so hard. Use, multiple colors and colorful. Keep it very monochromic, single page. You can definitely sit and create it on the Google Docs or MS Word. Very easy. I would definitely suggest create it by yourself, because you would be able to give your personal touch in it. Highlight key skills and projects. So uh, as a early candidate, I assume you would not have much of a professional experience. Even if you have internship experience, etc., that you should include. And if you have any professional experience or internship experience, that should be on the top. If not, then start with your projects, then education, and then certifications, and then any other organizational contributions if you have. Like, let's say, for example, the GDG group of DEC and you are organizing this event. So the organizers could proudly include this in their resume, that this is what we have done. That shows your leadership skills, that shows your collaboration skills, which are really impactful in the corporate industry. So though those should always come at the last, but start with strong projects or strong skill sets. So if you have experience, go for it first. If not, then go for projects, then skills, and then education, certifications, and then organizational contributions. Did I miss anything? I think, like more or less that should be it. And do not feel shy to get it proofread by someone else, or get feedback. So we often feel like, nay, my resume is not that good enough, that I don't want to show it to you. You will laugh at my resume. No. Let them laugh today, so that interviewer would not laugh at your resume. Okay. Give it to your peers, give it to your teachers, mentors, give it to your seniors. If you have anyone in your family who would who you think they will be able to review it for you, give it. There are multiple people, peers are available online as well, that could you please review my resume. Most of the people would might not give that much of time to anyone, but out of 10, out of 20, one or two people might reply with some feedback. So have it proofread, have it, feedback. And there can be chances as well that one person is saying this and the other person is for the same thing saying it's a different thing. On those cases, get third opinion, fourth opinion, fifth opinion. And at last, if you're not satisfied, do it your do whatever you feel like good, but get feedbacks. You could use all of those feedbacks to choose the best one you think that would be right. Okay, so don't shy away for asking feedback, sharing resume. uh, that's on resume building. So now let's talk about interviews, how to prepare for it. So now everything is done, you're all prepared, you have prepared everything, you have prepared on you have prepared on SQL, Python, or any other job field, any other technique required. You are good to go. Your resume is also selected. You got a call from the recruiter as well that they're scheduling your interview. Now what? So first thing, again, I'm coming back to the understand the job description, because very important. Whichever role you are giving interview, very important. Go to the job description, find the role. If you have lost the role, you do not remember where you applied, just go to LinkedIn and search for the job, and then you will find, if not the exact role, you will at least find similar roles where some kind of description will be there. Okay, so understand the descriptions. What are the role, what are the responsibilities, identify the key skills, tools mentioned in the minimum qualifications or even in the preferred qualification. See, sometimes what happens most of the time, we apply to the roles where we see, okay, minimum qualifications are matched, then we apply. We do not even sometimes see if we have the preferred qualification or not. That's okay. But if you receive a call for interview, do look at the preferred qualifications as well, and prepare as much as you can before the interview. It's not like, okay, in preferred, let's say for a data analyst role, in preferred skills they have mentioned Java as well. That's not possible, right? Like, that's not possible for me to prepare, like get expertise in Java within, like, 2 days or 3 days before interview. So what I will do at max, I will go to YouTube or any other online platforms, see how Java can be used for analytics. Okay, then I see a few videos, I keep the information to myself. If necessary, make notes on paper, I have written it, and I have kept it with me during the interview. If by any chance the interviewer asks me, are you familiar with Java for analytics? Then I don't have to say no, right? I would say, I'm not very much familiar, but I do know that Java can be used so and so in analytics. I am willing to learn, and I'm really interested in learning how Java can be like so and so. Like, you can say that I know this much about Java, and if required, I'm willing to learn. Eagerness to learn, the appetite for learning is a very important thing during any interview. So, and everything that you will be able to show by going through the job description, role responsibilities, key skills mentioned, preferred skills mentioned, etc. Okay, so that's the first thing before the interview that you need to do. Master the required technical skills. I believe by the time you receive the call from recruiter, you would have already done that. Okay, and yeah, so technical is looking for at least from the required skill section. You should be very familiar with the skill set mentioned in the minimum qualification, and like stay prepared to say like I'm not familiar with it, I will definitely study on this. And that's okay. That's what I'm just saying. I was saying that sometimes they could ask no how this is done, and it would be, they would definitely push you to a limit that you have to say this that uh, I apologize, I'm not very familiar with it, but definitely I will study on this. That shows that you would not, maybe you may not be familiar with it at this moment, but you are, you respect this opportunity, you respect this role enough that you will learn or study on the topic for it. And that's completely okay, because if even if your interview is going very well, you have answered everything, they tend to push you to the limit because they also want to check, right, that how far or how depth of knowledge you have. So definitely there will be multiple times when you have to say like I'm not very familiar with it, and that's completely okay. uh Next would be practice common interview questions, which are like, behavioral questions. Such as, tell me about a time how you handled a challenging project. So, this kind of questions are very common for analytical roles. I am not very sure if this kind of, so it also depends company to company, industry to industry. For top MNCs like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, etc., definitely, behavioral questions are a part of the interview process, be it any role. In Google, we even have a Googliness round where they ask questions like, tell me about a time when you, tell me about a time when you showed inclusivity in your team, kind of question. Because they want to push you to a limit where you need to think from a very open mind. So, definitely, behavioral questions, based questions will arise if you go for top MNCs. Even if not, like even for startups or even for startups or any let's service companies as well, like most of the companies for analytical roles, they would definitely ask behavioral questions to check how good are you with uh, tackling a challenge. So, yeah, tell me about a time how you handled a challenging project, how do you prioritize multiple tasks, are like very common questions. And even if you go to LinkedIn, Indeed, or any normal Google search, also you will find different set of questions for the same. GFG is also there. W3 schools are also, so there are various platforms where you could learn. Just you have to have the willingness. And technical questions also, you will find it very easily on those platforms. Case study, situation based questions will also, you will find on the platforms, or like, yeah, in YouTube as well. There will be people, a lot of people creating content around these kind of topics. Hmm, okay, the third thing will be, sorry, the fourth thing will be mock interviews and feedback. Again, similar to resume review, mock interviews are also important. Again, you would say like I'm too shy to give mock interviews. No, you shouldn't be. You have your peers, you will have a study group among yourself as well. You will have your mentors in your school, college, you will have your seniors, you will have your teachers, you will have your other peers who are preparing for interviews, etc. Have mock interviews. At first, laugh at each other's joke, laugh at each other communication skills, but that's how you improve. And and that's the only way I would say, because at a entry level you will not have a lot of people conducting your mock interviews. So That's the reason you have to first start with peers only. If you are comfortable with teachers, or there are teachers or seniors, mentors who are there to support you, who are welcomingly asking you, okay, I am here to take your mock interview, then that's well and good. But it's better with someone who has industry experience, who has corporate experience. But at a beginner level stage, I understand that finding such individuals is a bit tricky. So peer mock interviews are the best option to go for. If not, record yourself while answering. Let's say you picked a question, answer, record yourself, and then watch. As I mentioned earlier, you will definitely cringe. What is this? What am I looking at? But believe me, you will feel really, really great after few weeks of doing so. That okay, I have improved this much. Uh, the almost the last. It's not the last in general, but in this deck, this is the last tip or the preparation guide for interview is prepare smart question for the interviewer as well. So interview never should be one way. Interview always should be both ways. Let's say the interviewer asked you a question. How do you, let's say this question, how do you prioritize multiple tasks? You gave one answer, and you were not very sure if you gave very proper answer or not. So you could ask the interviewer as well that this is what, so your answer should be like this, that for multiple tasks, firstly I will ask like, are there any prioritization criterias? Let's say one task is P1, other task is P2, then I will definitely do P1, then thereafter I will proceed to the P2, or blah 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 answer you gave. Then you should ask the interview, you can, it's not like mandatory you should ask, but you can ask the interviewer that what do you think would be the best approach here to prioritize task. And the interviewer would be forced to think that okay, whatever answer you just gave, apart from this, is there any like better idea to work on that, like, or prioritize that. So what happens is like interviewer, if even if interviewer was not very satisfied with your answer, but interviewer was not able to think of a very excellent answer of the same at the time, then they would be automatically impressed by your answer. I'm not sure if it is making a lot of sense to you at this moment or not, but this helps a lot. The interviewer will feel that he's not taking exam, he's discussing a problem with you. Because when he asks like how do you prioritize multiple tasks, then you can definitely ask clarifying question, okay, when we are talking about multiple tasks, do they have any prioritization criteria? Example, is there a task that is of more importance, more prioritized, or more severe? Then I would definitely prioritize that task. Then the interviewer might say that no, no, no. Let's say all of the tasks you have are of same priority. Then what will you do? So, like, you're basically, when you ask question to the interviewer, you collaboratively, you together with the interviewer trying to resolve the problem, which makes the interview a discussion, and that's a huge plus for you. So asking the interviewer smart questions is very important. Okay, that's during the interview. Now, at the end of the interview as well, always about the ask the interviewer about the team, the company work culture, the tools used, the tech stack they use, and what are the growth opportunities, what are the challenges the team are facing, etc. Like, one question I always ask to the interviewer is, it's my secret question, but okay. So one question I always ask to the interviewers at the end of the interview is how this role, the role that I'm being interviewed for, is going to contribute in the team and in the business and in the company's success. So this shows that how curious about curious you are about the role, how actually interested you are in this role, in this company, in this business, in this domain. And that also makes the interviewer think that, okay, this role, basically the interviewer will be able to compare you or fit you in that role and think that how you will be contributing to the team. So basically the interviewer is forced to think you as a part of the team and then answer your question. So this kind of smart questions are very important, and these are just a few examples I'm giving. For this also you will be getting a lot of resources online. And yeah, interviewers should know that you're genuinely interested in the role, but again, not desperate. So you should not be like, I really really need this job, I really really need this role, I really really, because when you say and say those stuff, you're showing that you want this, but you're not asking smart questions, means you're just saying you do not mean it, which basically means you're desperate for the role, for the desperate for the job, not the opportunity. You're not actually respecting the role, you just want something to grab on, kind of. So yes, ask smart question, not just questions, smart questions, so that they know you're genuinely interested. So you can be generally curious, that's why. Uh, moving forward, so as we talked, I have a few bonus tips. First would be, your resume should be your personal brand. Okay, so think of the job hunting is like marketing yourself. The resume is basically the menu, if you can think of, like, this is all what you can do and which should perfectly fit what the company or the what the role is asking for. So it's not just about your skills, it's about who you are, your values, your passion, your unique approach to work set you apart. That's what grabs your employers attention. So most of the time during the interview, your interviewer will have your resume with them open on a tab. So they will definitely ask a question from your resume. That's why after ATS screening, your resume is your weapon to impress the interviewer as well. So in your resume, how you have portrayed yourself, how you have added your summary, and how you have strongly showcased your skills, how you have uh, how you have added value to any organization, will show a lot of, that will show a lot of your mark, as a, like, your impression, that will give a very good impression to the interviewer. When interviewer looks at the resume, he is definitely going to ask question from the resume. Very true. So it should not be fake, you have to be authentic, but at the same time it should be well marketed. It should be very precisely thought, precisely put in the resume, because he's going to ask question from the resume. So definitely would definitely you can guide the interview to ask you question like that. uh, so yeah, your resume tells a lot about you. So think of it as marketing yourself. You want to sell yourself to the interviewer. So while selling a product, you would try to hide the flaws as much as possible, and only this showcase the good things about it. Let's say a customer wants to buy a phone, then the customer is looking for only looking for good camera and let's say a good camera and the 6-inch display. Okay, so you have to focus on 6-inch display and camera. You have to give them that okay, it has a very good camera, it has a 6-inch display, even though let's say the phone has a exceptional RAM, it has a very good processor and all, a lot of other things, but the customer is focused, he just wants good camera and a big display. So you have to market it like that only, that it has a very good camera. Basically resume should also be saying that, it should be highlighting what the interviewer wants. Moving to the next step is, we talked about asking the smart question to the interviewer. Now talk about asking the right question to the recruiter. The difference between recruiter and the interviewer, if you're not aware, recruiter is a as a person who sources all the candidates and filters them out. Interviewer doesn't filter anyone out. Recruiter is the person who filters everyone out. So whenever recruiter will call you for the first time, they will mention that I'm calling from this company and you applied for this role, and they will also ask you a few questions like, okay, why are you interested in this role, why do you think this is a good fit for you, and this kind of questions which are also very important. So I believe that you will definitely prepare for it while when you go for a job hunting. So when recruiter is has asked you a question and you have already impressed the recruiter, then it's your job to understand what the role is about. The recruiter has said ki, okay, I'll schedule your interview on so and so date. You said okay, but now you also ask them what is the focus area of interview, like what should I prepare for. Okay, I know that this is a data analyst role. I can check the, like in your mind you can also check the what were the key skills in the uh, qualifications mentioned. So you thought like okay, all sorted. No, for each round each interviewer will focus on very different topics. One interviewer could solely focus on SQL questions, the other interviewer could solely focus on behavioral questions, and the other interviewer could solely focus on, let's say, Python questions, right? So when you received a call and the interviewer is interviewer told you that you are going to have your first round of interview on so and so date, you ask them that okay, what is the focus area of interview, what should I prepare for, then what should you expect in the interview, and for sure the recruiter will answer you that the interviewer is going to ask you about this kind of questions, and the interviewer will also focus on this and this. Whatever the interview is about, you will have information. This mistake is being done by almost a lot of candidates. As a beginner, when I first started looking out for jobs, I also never asked this question because I felt like what if I ask too many questions and then they do not schedule only. There is nothing of that sort. If the recruiter has told you that they're gonna schedule your interview, that means they have already a good impression of you. So even if you ask one wrong question among two, three right questions, it's not going to make a very huge impact. But interviewer is the person who is going to decide yes or no on your profile. So in interview, asking smart question is very important. But to the recruiter, you could ask bluntly any question that you need, like you need information for. You need information on what will be the focus area in the interview, what type of question should I expect, that you can ask directly to the recruiter. And recruiters are in general provided with the resources. The hiring team has already provided them the resources that this all questions, not just like specific questions, but these are the topics that we would be covering in the interview. The resource is already with the recruiter, so you don't have to think like, what if I ask this question and then a recruiter feels that I'm dumb, I do not even know what to prepare for. No, that's very basic. The recruiter is expecting you from you that you would ask that question. For each and every round you can ask. You could also ask like how many rounds of interviews will be there. You could also ask what is the interview process timeline, you know like how long will the interview will be for. Like not all interviews are for 1 hour or 45 minutes. Some interviews would be for 30 minutes. So what is the duration of the interview? You can ask any question based on your requirement, you whatever you want to learn. And also, it's not a bad thing to reschedule interview. Let's say the recruiter has asked you, let's say I am scheduling an interview tomorrow 9 a.m. But if you think that it is very less time for you to prepare, it's okay to ask the recruiter that tomorrow 9 a.m. is not fully comfortable for me, could we reschedule? If they say that no, the interview's schedule is very tight and all, then it's fine. But most of the time they do reschedule. They will ask you like, what is your preferred time? Then you give a time frame, and then within that time frame they will reschedule if possible. So play the interview process on your favor as well. Okay. I think this covered most of it. Are there any specific skills or topics I should? So basically, you can ask this kind of question to the recruiter. The third bonus is very important. Nowadays, everybody is doing it. Nowadays, everybody is doing it. So leverage AI tools like Gemini, ChatGPT. I think recently Grok is also launched by Elon Musk. So this kind of platforms definitely you should use for interview preparation. I personally used Gemini a lot for behavioral type of question answers, and ChatGPT a lot for technical question practicing. So personally, what I did, I'm telling you, uh, I am good, very much like I am very much comfortable with SQL now. Python also I have good enough understanding, and I'm able to solve problems. So what I did was I gave the full JD of a role I was applying for. Sorry, I was interviewing for, and I gave it to the ChatGPT, and I asked him, "Could you give me 10 problems from 10 SQL problems that I might be asked in this interview?" And ChatGPT actually gave me 10 questions. I solved those questions. I also solved those questions using Python, and I was good to go. And this is also pretty much everybody is doing in now today's world. At least my peers, who are currently working in top MNCs are doing it for very sure. Because this is kind of a secret but non secret tip for everybody. This is, if you're using it, you're being smart. If you're not using it, then definitely you're not being smart. So, very powerful. You can not just for, like I told you, right? Because it will definitely give you questions on SQL. You do answer on the chat GPT, like chat box itself, and then send the answer, and then it will check for you as well if it is correct or not. Sometimes it could be wrong as well, but most of the time it would check the answers for you. So, how powerful! Look, you have these tools around you, you must leverage it. And this is not just for data analytics, this is for any role in this world. There is nothing that ChatGPT cannot give answer to at, at this today's world. But use it carefully again, because why I say that it can give wrong answers, as in you may have seen, like, you know, videos like when it is told that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5, first it will say no, then if you force it, then it will say yes. Okay, if you are saying so, then it is right. So yes, sometimes could be like that, but most of the times at least you got the questions, at least you know what to expect in the interview. And 90% of the time similar kind of questions will be asked in the interview. So do make good use of it. This is me first time saying it out loud in a public. S- do use Make good use of AI tools like this. I have written similar stuff only here, like how you can use Gemini, ChatGPT, etc. Not just for question and answer. Definitely, you could use it for resume and cover letter optimization. So yeah, that's what. So when you give the JD to the ChatGPT, then you can also ask ChatGPT, like, from this JD, what do you think the what do you think that what do you think the key skills that I should include in my resume? It will give. Or you could give your resume to the ChatGPT. Your resume to ChatGPT as in, like, just copy from summary to bottom. Don't give your phone number and everything, please. Just like your copy and your resume and give it to the ChatGPT, and then copy the JD, the whole qualifications, minimum qualification, preferred qualifications, JD, roles, responsibilities, everything. Give both to the ChatGPT and ask him to score your resume on the based on the job description. How much do you score? Let's say it scored your resume 5 out of 10. Then ask the ChatGPT itself, how can I improve it? What should I do to improve it? Then it will give you a refurbished resume, refurbished sentences, or refurbished, skills, etc. Everything it will, like, you make it for you and then give it to you. You could pick from that whatever you need, whatever you have. Let's say it could give a skill in your skill set that you do not currently have, so you should not add it. But most of it, from it you could have an idea, okay, okay, this is how I should make a resume, and then yes. So overall, I think you got the idea how you can use ChatGPT AI tools. Do make good use of it. Uh, Moving to the next, utilize public platforms like like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and Reddit, Quora, and this kind of platforms. A lot of other platforms are there. Grapevine is also, I think, comparatively new, but it is there. A lot of GFG are there. WSG schools are there. this kind of platforms where people share their interview stories. Even in Lead Code Hacker Rank also they share their interview stories, that I recently interviewed in this company and this kind of questions that I were asked. And specifically for Glassdoor, you could use those filters and, you know, company filters and then role filters, then interview questions. So you could clearly see, like, for this particular role, this were the question asked. And you could see it in the time as well, like recent time, what kind of questions were asked, etc. In Glassdoor kind of platform, you could also check the salaries provided for this kind of roles, and like company specific as well, which would help you if you get selected, and you are asked, you're sitting for salary negotiations, etc. So yeah, use these platforms, online resources, very seriously, very actively, proactively use all of these platforms if you are seriously looking for a opportunity that you want to be, very satisfied with, happy with. Yeah. uh, yes, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, do raise your hands or feel free to ask. Or
Hello,
otherwise, I think, yes,
hello.
Pranav.
Am I audible?
Yep. Yes, Pranav, you are audible.
Okay. So I'm a fourth semester student, computer science student here at Dibrugarh University. And
Hello.
like back in second semester, I started learning about data science and like machine learning and all. So I do know that data science and like data analysts are like different job roles, but I feel like there is a certain intersection between both of these things. I mean, we're both like working on data, right? So I
Right.
guess, and we both do a certain level of like feature engineering and all before like handling the data. So
Mm.
why didn't you like mention machine learning in your like roadmap, like in your technical skills? Like we do need KNN imputer and like iterative imputer like for like handling missing data and all. That's why
Yeah.
that was my question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Very good question. Because often when we talk about data analytics, we have a lot of things. I think I talked in the diverse career opportunities section that data science is also a growth opportunity. But as a early candidate in the industry, as a fresher, you will not see any data scientist role or ML engineer role in any of the domain, any industry. That's the reason I did not mention data science or ML engineers, because ML engineer is, from my experience, ML engineer is still the third stage. The first stage would be a data analyst, then second stage would be a data scientist, and then only you will be moving towards the ML engineering part. So to become a data scientist, because data scientist has a very big responsibility, as you talked about algorithms, which in data analytics is not required. When I'm talking about data analytics, it is more of not even feature engineering. It's more of data cleaning, data management, and then finding the insight from it. It's not about data science. So, data science is the next step from data analytics. In simple terms, okay, again, I'm giving an example of business. Let's say my business, I have given insights that this is what we were previously doing, and currently this is our, let's say, revenue or sales. Let's talk about sales. Last few months data I have, till date I have data about our business and sales, and I know that this much of sales our team has been doing. Now, when I need to predict if this is what is going on and we do not change anything, if we keep on doing what we are currently doing, what is going to happen? Like, uh, how far can we reach by, let's say, next month? Then that's predictive analysis. And that's where we need data science, those algorithms, the predictive algorithms. And those part as a beginner, no company will give you that opportunity to work directly on that, because that's a very sensitive thing. That's a product analytics kind of thing. I did mention product analytics as well as a part of growth opportunities, because for product analytics or data science, you would minimum required to be in a data analyst kind of role for minimum of 3 4 years of experience you will need. So as a beginner, even if you see, I think in LinkedIn you would see a lot of uh, programs saying that we are looking for data scientist intern, we are looking for ML engineer intern. Don't fall for it. They will give you an end-to-end project where you will start from, uh, data, like they will give you a data set from Kaggle or anywhere, and then they will perform predictive analysis using any of the algorithm like linear regression bait or knn bait, XGBoost bait, anything. You will predict it, and then you will just make a accuracy of like around 95 96%, and you think that's what data science is, but it is not. That is data science, but it is not, because it is not that simple. In a business, it has to reach a predictive analysis, it needs to be at least 2 3 years in that project. So that's the reason no company hires data science as a fresher. And that is why I did not include data science roadmap in this, because you have to start as a data analyst if you want to reach to a data scientist, even a data engineer if you're talking about feature engineering and those other things. An
Okay,
ML
thank
engineer is way more engineering based. Like, there are people transitioning from software engineers to ML engineers because ML engineer includes that much of engineering background. It's like, uh, we just looking at the, you know Kaggle projects, simple projects. That's not what data science actually is. So even if you look for, any company job opportunities, will not see data scientist or ML engineer for fresher candidates. And that's the reason, because you have to have experience as an analyst, understanding the data management, etc., to go to a data science role.
okay,
I'm not
thank you.
trying to discourage anyone,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
Please
okay.
be assured that I'm not trying to discourage, but that's the reality, that's the truth, that to go towards that field, you need to start as a data analyst.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's,
I had another
yeah,
question actually. Uh,
sure.
like, how do we understand like different data on like different domain? Like you're like working on Google, right? So you're working on a particular sector of Google where the data are like such. Like for example, like someone has to, like data analysts are required on like most industries nowadays. You can work on like petroleum industries, even like on tech based companies, or like some kind of business type of company as well. And this data will be like varying in like every industry. So like suppose I'm interested in cricket, so I'll have a good idea of data based on like cricket players and all and matches, and I'll be able to like perform well on those type of data. And suppose someone gives me a very different like data, then how am I, what should be my approach to learning this like new data?
Mm, okay. Uh, so As freshers, I would not recommend being strict to, the domain at first, because once you have few years of experience, you could easily switch into any domain you have more interest in. As you mentioned, like cricket, uh, recently one news was in, I think I found it in LinkedIn only, but yeah, that I think Mumbai Indians or some IPL cricket team was hiring for analyst, and those kind of posts I saw. So it is there. It is definitely there, but cricket or sports analytics is still very new. And on that post as well, if I am not mistaken, they were looking for good amount of experience because they pay like that as well. So the higher the experience you have, the better the pay gets. Um, so at first, if you, I would not recommend being picky about the domain. Now, if I come towards your question, like what is how to understand the data, the first thing would be just sit and stare at the data for few hours. When you try to understand the data by column, so like you will have all the attributes, you would have all the data descriptions, you will definitely have. And if not, you would be having other peers around you. If you're like, I assume from your question that you would be working in a team, in a in a company, so you would definitely have team members you could ask. If you're asking from that perspective, if you're asking from a project perspective, that you want to voluntarily take up a project and then work on it, then I would definitely say stare at the data for at least an hour, if it is a very vast data. But if it is a very small data, then definitely you could sit on it and like 15-20 minutes, and then you would have idea. But mostly, start. Don't keep planning what to do. Instead, just go for trial and error. Is better than planning and then trying and then failing. Better start with trying. If if you fail, then at least you know that this is the way I should not go to. I mean, like, same thing. So just don't plan that what I should do. Just start, try. If not, then try a different approach. That's what you need to do. To understand the data, you need to look at the data. You need to look for what kind of data it is, if that was your question.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That was it.
Yeah. Any other questions?
So I hope there are no more questions. Okay, someone has raised their hand.
Hello.
Hi, yes,
Uh,
Himangi. Yes,
yeah.
Himangi, we can hear
Hey.
you.
I am a CCS student and currently undergoing PGDCA.
Okay.
My question is like in PGDCA we have been taught about the basics of SQL in MySQL. I guess you are familiar with MySQL. So,
Yes.
do you know about the sources resources of about how I can do the advanced advanced subqueries and whatever there is to learn in SQL for myself so that it could help me in data and analytics.
Yes, yes, Himangi, definitely. Uh, MySQL is a language, and if you're working on like Workbench or any other similar platforms, those are just tools. So there are different kind of SQL languages, but most of them are very similar, other than like Postgre and PL SQL. But for data analytics, you mostly focus. Yeah, I think MySQL is the standard SQL that most of the companies use, even though different companies use different languages. They call their own language, as in like in Google we use Google SQL, but which is like 90%, 95% similar to MySQL. So yes, MySQL is the correct language to start from. And to move towards challenging questions, you definitely need to go towards Lead Code, Hacker Rank, GFG, Geeks for Geeks, this kind of platforms. Uh, these platforms definitely have data analytics section itself, data analyst, business analyst section itself. You could filter them and then work on SQL questions. So there you will be able to find from basic to medium to like easy to medium to hard, and like extra hard questions as well. So if you want to go for advanced analytics, then you definitely can go with Lead Code, Hacker Rank. I think Lead Code has best interview preparation set, because in Lead Code only 50 questions are there for SQL data analyst, where it covers from basic easy questions to hard questions as well. Uh, Before your interview, you could like again like 50 questions would take around 2 3 days, if you're even if you're like very good expert in SQL. So yeah, a quick interview preparation, you could go for lead code. Otherwise, if you want to take it from start scratch and then you learn nicely, go for hacker and GFG. GFG is really good, I would say, for interview and any other tech learning as well. So yeah, those are the platforms where you could learn the advanced aspect of SQL.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you in the bonus tips slide you mentioned about utilizing public platforms like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Quora, and Reddit. How did these platforms help you on for your interviews?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, LinkedIn definitely a strong platform to job search. Uh, Addition to that, in LinkedIn feed, you would be able to see lot of stories. There is a search option there on the top of the LinkedIn platform. You could search for any of your interest roles, let's say data analyst, or directly search data analyst interview stories. You will get a lot of stories or people experiences, interview experiences around that. So definitely time by time by time I keep going to those platforms and look for relatable questions, relatable stories that I see. And similarly, I think I also mentioned Glassdoor. Glassdoor is very strong. If you go to that platform, you will realize it. I cannot verbally explain everything here, but it's like in Glassdoor also you will be able to filter with company and role as well as level as well, which level of role you are looking for, entry level, mid level, expertise level, experience level, and then look for interview questions, stories, reviews, company reviews, interview reviews, and as well as salaries as well. So yeah, I time by time keep going. It's not like it has helped me once and then never helped. It keeps helping you in each and every step of your journey. So definitely very helpful platforms.
Okay, well, I do go through Quora once on a time, whenever I am free. But sometimes I feel like the questions, the answers that people give in Quora, they are sometimes like kind of fake type. So like depending on it is like something very थोड़ा अजीब लगता है कि उनका ही फेक ना हो जाए.
I mean, you should be that's much of smart enough to distinguish between that this is total fake and this could be a bit of like authentic. So if I looking for a data analyst interview and I see the answer is some kind of like they ask me to go to a swimming pool and swim me, then that's not related at all, so that would definitely be fake. But if I see that somewhere they have mentioned, like they ask me this kind of questions, SQL questions, Excel questions, and if possible they have somewhere mentioned like any other programming language questions, I would still give it a benefit of doubt that okay, if this is also additional skill that is being asked in, like today nowadays it's being asked, then I would definitely go and cross check in any other platforms, let's say in YouTube only. As I previously mentioned, that I would go and check if like someone has mentioned, let's say Java, I will go in YouTube and check like hey, how can Java be used in analytics. So if I do not see any resources on that itself, then it means that Java is not being used for analytics, so definitely that could be a fake answer. So it's not like blindly go for it, specifically for, on platforms like Quora, Reddit, or Wikipedia or normal Google search. But I believe on platforms like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, etc., 99% of the time the stories are authentic. So yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Divya Jyoti Das. Yes. Please go on. Whoever raising their hand, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, Sahid Ahmed, please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm a BCA fourth semester student from CCSA. My question is, how you get your job at Google after pursuing your MCA degree?
Okay. Okay. So I joined Google in 2023 February, and I completed my post graduation MCA from CCSA in 2022. So after I completed my uh, MCA, I was at home and I had a very deep interest in analytics. I knew that this is something I can do, and I am interested. I have been always a problem solver. So I focused on few things that I needed to improve. That I clearly, as I mentioned, LinkedIn is a very powerful platform. I searched for people who have been remarkable on their own field. I used to go to their profile and then check for certifications and courses, whatever they have completed. And then I used to look for those courses on those particular platform and then work on it. So for me, I, to be really honest, I used all of these platforms I have mentioned in the tips very much. Like there were days and nights where I used to spend my time looking out on those platforms, identifying the key skills, identifying the courses, and then making a list of it, and then starting off on those courses, on those skills very next day. Like checking each and every boxes from all of those skills, all of those certifications back to back. And I did not stop sitting on interviews. I faced many failures, to be really honest. I think within, I used to apply at least 10, 20 jobs every day. And I did not have very clear understanding. I think many of you must be facing at this time as well. You might not have very clear understanding of, how data analytics is different from data science. Like I received the question earlier. So this kind of question we must be facing every day. Like this kind of confusion we would have. Definitely, I also used to have. So that's the reason I started bluntly applying to a lot of roles that I did not even know at the time that these are not the same role. So I used to apply for any role that used to include data, that used to include analytics, that used to include SQL, Python, anything. But that's not the best approach. When I understood, when I looked through all the platforms and when I understood, okay, These are the set of roles I need to apply, and these are the set of skills I need to have. I focused on those. I prepared. I started applying. And for Google role as well, I got a ad, I think, in LinkedIn, where in the ad itself it was mentioned that uh, hiring for data analyst apprentices, and then I went to the career page and applied. And yes, tailoring your resume to that specific role is very important, which I definitely did at that time. And interview stories, definitely what kind of questions were asked. I frequently used to go to these platforms. LinkedIn is itself is a very powerful, and at the time I think ChatGPT, Gemini, these were not that boom that I went there. But from LinkedIn itself, I got a lot of interview stories of other people from which I took reference and prepared accordingly. So that's how I prepared for Google interview as well. I started following people who have been telling, who have been good content creators and who have been creating contents on how to prepare for, interviews, what are the key skills, what kind of questions they were asked, so on. Like I've been reiterating my same thing again and again, that interview stories, follow them and then learn from what they have done. If they have shared any mistakes, learn from that as well. Learn from your own mistake. I used to get rejections like anything. Like I used to, as I mentioned, I used to apply for at least 10-20 roles each day. So I had actually, very funny story, I actually had every night after dinner for 2 hours I used to give myself just to apply for jobs. So that's how dedicated you have to be. And I'm not saying that just that, be push yourself as much as you can. I think that's what
Thank you, ma'am.
is needed. Yeah.
Very helpful for us.
Is there anything like particular thing you wanted to know, or that's good? Okay, all right. Are there any other question? There is a question in the chat box. I see. Are there any key differences in data analytics at Amazon versus Google? If then, how do you transition? Um. So as I mentioned, in Google versus Amazon, if I see, the interview experiences were a bit different, because when I joined Google, I joined as a data analyst apprentice. So the questions, and that was a fresher role. So the question were very basic compared to what I have experienced in Amazon. And that's not because it's Google versus Amazon. It's more because it was a fresher role versus an experienced role. So if I talk about technologies, then Google, Amazon both use primarily SQL. Uh, Google uses spreadsheets, Google Sheets, for you know the basic data visualization or basic data analysis time to time, whereas Amazon uses MS Excel, but both are very similar. So transition, if I say, it was not very difficult, because even though the tools are different, the tech stack, the technology we use are similar. And for dashboarding also, Google uses not Power BI. Google uses Looker Studio, and Google have set of internal tools as well, which is called Plex. So those tools are there, and Amazon has its own set of internal tools for dashboarding, which is QuickSight, ClickSight, etc. And AWS is also there. But transition is not difficult. Why? As the technology matters rather than the tool. So even though the tools are different, technology is still the same. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
So there are no questions left, I guess now. I
Yes, I
think
think
this, yeah,
we're on time as well.
yeah, exactly. So I think this brings us to the end of today's session. A huge thanks to Pratistha Didi
Mhm.
for sharing such
Yeah,
valuable insights. Actually, it's not every day that we get to learn from someone with such expertise. And we sincerely appreciate the energy you invested in like enlightening us and being here with us and putting your time for us.
yeah.
Also, a
Thank
very
you
big
so much.
appreciation. Yeah, okay, thank you, ma'am. Also, a very big appreciation to all the participants who have joined. Actually, we had more than 50 plus participants at the beginning, and some of them have left. But nevertheless, your knowledge have reached many minds, and we're truly grateful for that. So yeah, we can officially end the meeting now.
Thank you so much, Hasta. Like a huge
Thank you.
thanks to the GDG group of DU and DEC as well, like for this incredible opportunity and this event. And yeah, thank you so much for everyone who joined. Uh, like if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me in LinkedIn. I don't think I have shared it anywhere, but yeah, if you search in LinkedIn, you'll definitely will be able to find me. Uh, all good, I guess.
So we have officially ended the meet.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Have a good
ma'am.
day. Bye.
Okay. So a huge thank to Kalyan Bhaiya also who reached out to Pratistha Didi and gave us such an informative session today. So thank you, Kalyan Bhaiya. It was truly a very informative session. So yeah, we have called the meeting to an end. So everyone can leave now. Thank you, everyone.
हेलो 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 मीटिंग किसने रिकॉर्ड किया था? अच्छा, अपलोड कर देना आज ही आज। भाई हमको मालूम नहीं 2 घंटा चला जाएगा। इवेंट स्टार्ट हुआ था से 6:05 में 2 घंटा हो गया एग्जैक्टली। कब टाइम पड़ रहा हम बीच में हम थोड़ा देर के लिए चले गए चाय पीने, फिर देखता है कि चल ही रहा है मीटिंग। पर अच्छा ही था एक तरह से। अब लाया है उनसे पूछेगा कि अब